Every year I'm reminded how important it is to come out with a video for how to stay warm in the deer stand. I was reminded we were at dinner in Winona. My friend Mike, longtime childhood friend, he comes out and gun hunts with us. And then Jen and I. And we're having dinner there, and people come up, here and there. And they'll come up and say, hey, I appreciate your videos. They'll say, hey, Sturgis, and thanks for the videos. And John was his name. He came up to me and he just told me that one of the things that turned him on to my videos is he was from Texas, coming up to Minnesota. A little bit of a shock in climate change for how to dress warm in the deer stand and in those tricks. And he said, he watched that video and then that turned him on to the video. So we had a little good conversation. I thanked him for watching and went back to dinner. And it kind of, made me right away, I need to write that note. Some of these videos that are so important every year, we get overlooked. And a lot of these tricks for staying warm in the deer stand are tricks that I developed out of necessity and survival back when I was a teenager, because we didn't have a lot of clothes for wearing for hunting. I didn't grow up in a hunting family, so I didn't have hand-me-down clothes. I had grandma literally making a fleece poncho for me to fit over my other clothes as another layer, and so I could have some insulation. So I'm literally wearing it over a ski jacket going hunting when I'm 18, 19 years old. And because that's what I had. I'm having my mom make layers of wool, 4 layers, and then make it into a hand warmer tube. Now we have these fancy wind stopper, windproof hand warmer tubes. So a little bit different nowadays. Heavily insulated, great zipper pocket. Didn't have that back in the day when I was a teenager, literally in the mid to late 80s. So come a long ways. But there's things that I have really relied on. And I even almost have a little bit of a priority here with this list. I tried to think of that when I was writing down and of these tricks to stay warm in the deer stand. And a lot of it, you can't just say, I'm going to wear this. You have to adapt. And you have to know what to add, what not to have. And so I'm going to start with this right here with the head. And, there's a lot of times, and even though we have the thicker Tundra face mask from First Light, and you could use, I use First Light. I even had someone this year mentioned, yeah, I see you switched to First Light, just going after the money. And like, man, you should have paid attention in 2020 when I had a video out about it almost 5 years ago about making that switch from Sitka to First Light. That was a little while ago. So a little bit behind in that. But anyways, we kind of choose who we want to work with based on the company and the people and the connections and the product. And so that's what we use. You might use something different, but it's the same tricks. This is a thin merino wool face mask. Now, why would I wear this when it's super cold? Because it's a layer I can use. I can take a baseball hat, my Matthews baseball hat here. We have our WHS orange hats I can use, but I want a brim. I want this down low if the sun's low. I don't want to ever miss a deer or not be able to shoot because the sun is directly in my eyes. I want a heavy baseball brim because it takes a lot for water to actually come through this. So snow will settle up on this. I'm sure Dylan has some pictures back in the day of, we were sitting right back here in the Badger area. And we had snow after a muzzleloader hunt just accumulated on my brim. I can take this and I can put it right over this hat while my hat's on. I stick the hat through this opening and that slips over. And then I have this top will be right over the top of my hat. So I have that brim showing, but then everything else is camoed. And then they have holes in the ears right here. You can see right here, they flap open so you get better hearing. So it's pretty cool, but it's a merino wool layer. It's kind of nice. It's got had like a mid-weight long john on your face. Let's put it that way as far as material goes. That's obviously not going to be warm enough when it's super cold. So then I have this. This is a furnace hoodie, heavy merino wool, real heavy. Hopefully Dylan not messing up the microphone, but I take this and I'll put that right up and over. Now I have 2 layers of merino wool, and I can even button this up, or I can use a quarter zip thermal, the furnace hoodie, or furnace heavyweight long john top, and I can go right here. So now I have the long john right up to here, or the face mask, and I pull it up over my nose, my lips, and then I have this right here. And on top of that, I'll sometimes take, and I'll have my stocking cap, like if it's Hunter's Orange and I need that for that, then I'll put this over all those layers. So now you have even another, so I have my hat, a thin layer of merino, a heavyweight of merino layer, and then I have a cap on top of that all. And then what I found was in the First Light jackets, doesn't matter if it's a Sanctuary, the core and the thermic, the midweight and heavyweight, they actually created their hoods with a cutout on the sides, and the collar only comes up 2 inches. It's cut out so the hoods don't get in the way. And I leave those hoodies on, the hoods on the jackets now, because that's the ultimate layer I can pull up over. So to me, if your head's cold, your body's cold. It doesn't matter what you're wearing on the rest of your body. And again, I look at this as priority. Obviously, you can't just go out with just your head being warm. You're assuming you have decent clothes. But if you have decent clothes and you have a lot of air around your head and you're losing heat, then you're going to be in big trouble. Now, notice I don't say, like, I don't get ready at the stand. I'm wearing my stuff in. We sweat a lot going up. But when you have merino wool and you have high quality materials, it pulls that moisture away from your body within an hour and a half, and you'll find that next to your skin is then dry. That's the whole idea. That's why they call it next to skin clothes for you to wear, because they're pulling that moisture away. And when it comes to body, your bibs, this is so critical. And I'm not saying your feet aren't important, they're next. But bibs have been a mainstay of mine. Those were some of the first outfits that I bought, just getting heavy bibs back in the day, because it shuts off that airflow from around your waist. Your lower back's not getting, if you ever had your lower back get a little bit of cold weather or cold air on that, in between your pants and your jacket, you get freezing cold. You can't do that. So those bibs are critical. With the First Light bibs, what I really like is the jackets, and you can see on this is the heavyweight, this is the thermic. These jackets right here have a magnetic pocket. The Sanctuary and the Solitude have that same pocket, but it's zipper. But with the magnets, it goes around and forms around your arm when you put it in. So, and it quickly shuts. So it's not like you have zipper and you want to put your hands out and they have this cold air going in your body. These, you can hear them. It doesn't make that much noise in the stand, but you can hear it if I pull them back and let them go. They just pull right back together. They go right back. So what you can do with that, and what I like about that, and we'll talk about hands in a second here, but when you have those bibs, I have double layer insulation up on the top of the bibs here. So this jacket right here, get those through here. And then on the bibs here, I have double layer insulation right on my chest, and they have a pass-through for a hand warmer pocket right there. Super warm. You can imagine the warmth that's in your chest, your body, it's under your jacket. You put your hands in there and it's actually a lot warmer than hand warmer tube. And I find when it's super cold, I end up using that pass-through pocket and putting it in my bibs. My hands are buried deep. I don't even need hand warmer pockets. This is more for locked and load and ready. But my hands get a little bit colder here, even with, we use 2 large heat packs in there. I use light gloves because I want to be able to use my gloves and use my fingers and to shoot, and I want to be able to have them in here. That is one of the best things for keeping your hand warm, those pass-throughs into there. And so a lot of times it's super cold, I need to warm them up. I can stick them in there and warm them up. I can put them back in here. I'll alternate back and forth. But then my hand warmer tube doubles as a little carrier for my grunt tube, bleak call, range finder, phone, cough drops, knife, whatever I want to put in there. I put a lot of stuff in there. So I like having that too. But for your hands, that's great. But the body, you have to have that body warm. And so having that double extra layer up here and having that whole circulation of air cut off at my waist so I never have to feel that. It's like you sit down and your whole body from your chest and up against your back of your neck and down is taken care of and super, super warm. So I really like that. In fact, I'll wear the heavyweight bibs, whether it's a Sanctuary or the new thermics, and then a lot of times the Solitude and the core jacket over top, because I really want those warm bibs for keeping me warm, not the other way around, not the heavy jacket and the lightweight bibs. Because if you have lighter weight bibs and lightweight core for insulation, then you're going to get a lot colder. So feet, going down to, I use a 1,600 gram lacrosse boots. I have for many years. In fact, I've used lacrosse boots since the end of the 80s when we used to have to use a bicycle repair kit to patch up the rubber boots. But I find with my diabetic feet that I have a little neuropathy with, I find that, and for all of you that say diabetes is a disease of lifestyle, I've seen those comments before. No, type 1 is not. Your pancreas just doesn't work very well anymore at all. And your sugar goes up to 500, 600 when you eat sugar. You can't control it by diet. You gotta understand the difference between type 1. There's a lot of armchair doctors out there. But bottom line is poor circulation. So the 1600 gram boots are warm, but we sit when it's 0 degrees or 5 or 10 or 15. We might sit for hours at a time. It's not enough for me. So what I'll do is, one of the tricks I learned is I'll take something like this as an Arctic Shield boot. It slips on after you get to the stand. I use these like 3 sizes larger than would be normal. These right now, I want to say this size right here, I'm a size 10 boot, and I believe these are triple extra large, if I can see, double extra large. They're saying for a 14 to 15 foot size boot, and I'm using a 10. So that ends up being the right size, because you want to be able to zip them up in the back. And what I also do is I'll take a couple of heat warmers. So I'll put these on. I'll put a couple of those hand warmers, and I'll put them right on my top of my boot under this insulating layer right here. And they work really, really well. And so you can even use that with lightweight boots and do that, but it's a great way to keep your feet warm. And then I'm also using, like right now I have some midweight merino wool socks on. We have the heavyweight merino wool, the First Light, that come all the way up to your knees. And so between those two, and again, what I'll find is I've sat all day, dark to dark, sweating going in, get out of the stand at noon to go to a different stand, go down, maybe go get something to eat at the house, and I'll check the inside of my boot is damp, but my feet are completely dry. Again, when you have good moisture wicking material, it pulls your next to skin perspiration away from your skin, and that keeps you dry. So frankly, I don't want to get ready at the stand, because I want to get up there. I'm always paranoid and panicked about a deer walking by. I don't want to leave a bunch of scent at the stand. I don't want to put a pack down on the ground near the stand. I just want to get there, get up, and get in. And a little bit different. Sometimes we'll go in Pennsylvania, we're walking an hour and a half in, we're going to sit on the ground or something. I might change socks or add another layer of socks to stay warm, but that's a little bit different. When it comes to hands, I already talked about some tips with that. This hand warmer tube has been so incredible. I wear a hand warmer tube every time I go in the woods, because it carries gear, carries my gloves, carries my face mask. Everything's right there and handy. My phone can be zipped in here. My reloads for muzzleloader. You can even see I'm getting into muzzleloader season right now. So get into muzzleloader, rangefinder, everything's packed in there and ready, so that I have it right here. And I've done that since I've been probably 15, 16 years old. So a very long time. Those 2 heat packs, light gloves, then everything's in there warm. And then again, nowadays with the pass-through pockets into your bibs, you could even keep them at a even warmer upper level, warm level for sitting in extreme cold. So hands, so critical, but at the same time, to me, pretty easy to take care of. And then last but not least, the jacket. I left that last because I like wearing, if it's super cold, I'm going to wear heavier bibs, and I'll either wear the heavier, more parka jacket, or more the lighter midweight, like the core, and then the thermic. The thermic is a real heavy weight, which back with the previous clothing was the Sanctuary, was the super heavy, and then the Solitude. And so the only difference on those, there's more windproofing, there's a different windproofing layer, there's different insulation. They have the pass-through pockets, they made the shorter collar. So if you have the choice, I do like the thermic and the core a lot better. It was a huge upgrade, but the Sanctuary and Solitudes I was very, very happy with too. So, but the jacket, it's not that I want a lightweight jacket. I will wear the heavyweight if I have to, but I want to make sure on these jackets, they're articulated. You can see the sleeve is bent on this jacket. It's preformed, so it's not binding. It's actually forming with your arm, and you see how much it tapers down here. And that's so if you're hunting late season with these really warm jackets, you can actually hunt with a bow. In the past, really bulky, this material is very quiet, and so really, really critical for having that jacket that keeps you warm. But I'd rather sacrifice on the jacket, have it be more in that mid-season that's more appropriate for everything, and then get that warmer bib if I had to choose between just having one combo or the other. And then finally, layers. I mentioned the Furnace hoodie right here, and then I wear the Furnace Long John, like a mid-weight under that, sometimes a heavyweight, and then I wear heavyweight Long Johns, the Furnace Long Johns under here. So between medium weight, heavyweight socks, the heavyweight Long Johns, heavyweight bibs. So if it's super cold, what I'll use a lot of times is a Source vest. It's Primaloft insulation. It's very thin. It's packable. But man, what a layer up top. So if I feel like I'm bow hunting and I want that extra movement, it's not going to be bitter cold, then I'll wear the Source vest. I'll wear the Core jacket or Sanctuary or the Solitude jacket. And that still gives me movement in my arms, but really keeps my core even that much warmer. And that's a good pairing with that. So layers are critical. Those are some of my tips for head, body, feet, hands, jacket. Those layers are so critical, and that's what keeps us warm in the deer stand, because we're hunting a lot of times in through January in Minnesota and Wisconsin. We'll hunt in temperatures that are below zero actual temperatures, not wind chill, and you learn really fast how to not only stay warm, but you're really surviving, because we've had times where it's a dark to dark sit, and you're walking out, it never got above 20 degrees, and people say, oh, that's not that cold. But when you're sitting in a tree 20 feet up and you're facing the wind because you want to have that wind advantage for bow hunting, and you're sitting there all day, it just slowly zaps the life out of you. It's going to zap all the life out of you eventually. It's just how fast it zaps out. And if you're following these tricks and you're using quality clothing, and that's the difference in clothing too. Some people say, why pay that much for clothing? Well, it's because you want to stay warm and you want it to last for a very long time. And that being said, First Light right now, if you're watching the end of this video, I really want to let you know, Black Friday sale, you can get up to 40% off a lot of the clothing, some of our favorites. There's too many articles of clothing to mention here. Link is in the description. Check it out. Some really good stuff. It's our biggest sale of the year. It's from the 21st of November all the way to the 2nd of December. So make sure you take advantage of that sale on some really high quality gear. Thank you guys so much for watching the video. You're our best followers. You followed all the way to the end of the video. Really invite you to check out our website. We have our Earthway spreaders for sale. Great Christmas presents. We're booking clients right now, all 5 of us. So by the end of December, it seems early, but by the end of December, our schedule will be booked for 2025. It's hard to believe. I'm already booked for December and most of January, February. We have our web classes, the Rut web class, how to design your whitetail property, and really important, hunting hills and thermals, understanding the wind. Those are great products on our site, all the books. Thank you so much for watching all the videos, buying the seed that you did this year. Really appreciate you.